Hello friends. In this video, we will discuss one of the important topic of climatology, that is with respect to geography, is heat zones of Earth. So what does this heat zones of Earth means? Our Earth is experiencing different temperatures on different regions, right? Especially across the latitudinal surface of our Earth. Some regions are experiencing higher temperature and some regions are experiencing moderate temperature, and some regions, especially the regions in the polar regions, are experiencing sub-zero level temperatures. So what might be the reason for these variations with respect to temperature distribution across the latitudes of the Earth will be discussed in this particular session, right? So Earth's temperature or Earth's atmospheric temperature is determined by the energy which is supplied from the sun. That is, those energy which are supplied in the form of heat and light to each and every planet of our solar system is been determined by the solar energy which has been emanated or originated from the sun, right? So to understand the linkages between the variation in the temperature distribution across the latitudes of Earth with respect to its position as well as shape of the Earth, how come it determines the variation in the distributions is what going to be discussed in this particular session, right? So before knowing about the variation in the distributions of Earth, we need to discuss some of the basics with respect to position of Earth and Sun, right? Here, if we take the case of solar system is the region where all of the planets as well as other celestial objects of the entire solar system is being influenced or controlled by the parent star called as sun, right? So sun is the master of our solar system, and all of these planets are influenced by the gravitational effect of sun. If we locate the position of Earth, Earth is positioned at third closest planet to the sun, right? So all the planets with respect to its position or with respect to its distance from the sun is experiencing the heat and light which are generated from the sun, right? The sun which supplies heat and light to each and every planet, and based upon its location and some other factors with respect to the gases which are present in the atmosphere of every planet, the temperature of planet is being determined. But the most important reason behind the temperature of every planet is with respect to its position closer towards the sun, right? Earth being the third closest planet to the sun, it is not possible for the sun or it is not possible for the Earth to get escaped from the higher influence of solar winds which are generated from the sun, right? So if you observe the shape of the Earth and size of the Earth with respect to the size of the sun, these every region is being influenced by the solar energy or solar flares. So how come it is possible for a smaller object like Earth to escape from the higher influence of heat energy which is supplied from the sun? If it is the case, then how it is possible for Earth to have sub-zero level temperature in its polar region? So it is not only with respect to the closeness towards the sun. There are some other reasons which are behind the variation or the temperature distribution across the different latitudes of the sun. So with this basic understanding, we will understand what are all the reasons behind the variation in the distribution of the temperature across the different latitudes of the Earth. Let us discuss it with a familiar examples, right? First, we need to know that what is insolation. Insolation is nothing but incoming solar radiation. Incoming solar radiation is called as insolation. So for every planet, the energy or the light which it receives from the sun is called as insolation. So even Earth is also receiving this energy from the sun in the form of insolation. Majorly, it is of high energized ultraviolet radiations which is reaching on the surface of the Earth. So this insolation determines the temperature distribution of the Earth, right? With this basic understanding, we can take a practical example. If you look at this example, just assume it with respect to the practical day-to-day life example. If you take a case of a torchlight which emits light on a surface or a cardboard which is located perpendicular to the incoming torchlight. In this case, we can assume that this might be the incoming solar radiation, or this might be the surface which is receiving the incoming energy. So if the surface, that is, if the receiving surface is receiving this incoming light in a perpendicular direction, here you can observe that the incoming light or the light which falls from the torch is hitting the surface at a 90-degree perpendicular direction. So if the light is hitting on the surface, or the incident angle of the incoming rays is at perpendicular direction, means you can observe that the light zone or the region which receives this light would not change with respect to its distribution, right? This region is receiving almost every energy or every fraction of that particular light in a perpendicular direction. So we can call it as direct rays which is hitting on the surface. If you observe the energy or the intensity of the light, means it is quite brighter, right? So whenever the incident light is hitting on a surface which is located perpendicular to the incoming rays, the energy and the distribution of light in the form of distribution of energy and the light is of maximum level. If you take the case of another example where the incoming light is not changing its path, it is coming in a parallel direction, but the angle on which this light is hitting on the surface angle is differs with respect to the incoming light. Here the incident angle is not perpendicular as compared to the above case. Whenever the incident angle is varies, or when the incident angle is increases beyond the 90-degree, the distribution of light is accumulating on a larger space. So diffusion of light would be there, and light could travel for a larger region. It is because of this light which is traveling for a larger region, or this light occupies a larger region, the intensity of the light would get reduced. So even though the region which is occupied by the light is of a very larger scale when compared to the above example, the intensity of the heat and light is getting reduced. So what can we conclude with respect to these two examples? Whenever a light which is hitting on a surface which is perpendicular to its incoming radiation, it can experience maximum amount of heat and light. When the incoming light is hitting on a surface which is beyond the 90-degree or perpendicular angle, the distribution of rays or the energy is of very lower level, right? Here also we can take another example. If you take a practical example, right, here the incident light is not changing its position, but the surface which is receiving the light is changing its position. In another example where the surface is not changing its position, but the incident light is changing its incident angle with respect to the surface. Here if you take this case, a small child which is holding a torch with his hand, when the torch light is hitting at the floor of the room, you can observe that it is almost perpendicular, right? The light is falling on the surface at an almost perpendicular direction. So we can observe how much brightness the light would be here. Even though it covers a smaller area, the brightness is of higher because it concentrates on a smaller region, because it is hitting on the surface at a 90-degree. But here on the another image, if the same person is standing at the corner of the room and the angle of the incident rays is varied means it is not perpendicular as like in that of the previous case. When the incident angle is varying or increasing beyond 90-degree, you can observe that the light may occupy a larger proportion, or the light which is distributing across the surface on a larger portion, but the intensity is getting reduced, right? So here the surface is not changing its position, but the incoming rays is changing its incident angle. Whenever the angle is varied with respect to its perpendicular position, the intensity of the light is getting reduced. So in both the cases, when the incident light is differing from its perpendicular position, or the surface which is receiving the incoming light is differing with respect to its perpendicular position, the intensity of the light is getting reduced. This is what we can observe from these two practical examples. With this basic understanding, we just compare the same phenomena with respect to the incoming solar radiation which is hitting on the surface of the earth, right? Here we know that earth is of near spherical shape, right? It is not exact spherical in shape but near spherical in shape, where the equatorial region is slightly bulger and the polar regions is flattened at its tops. North pole and the south pole are flattened at its top, and the equatorial region is slightly bulger and it is near spherical in shape. Almost every planet is near spherical in shape, right? So we need to assume that, or we need to consider that these are all the rays, these are all the sun rays, these are all the sun rays which is traveling towards the surface of the earth, and all of these sun rays are traveling at a parallel direction, right? Because sun rays can occupy a larger portion and earth is positioned in the path of the incoming solar radiation. What we have observed that those rays which is hitting on the surface at 90 degree, that region would experience maximum amount of intensity and maximum amount of light. In this particular case, if we consider the shape of the earth, it is not uh, cylindrical in shape, it is of spherical in nature. Because of the spherical surface of the earth, it is possible for the equatorial region or the region in and around equatorial region only to receive the incoming rays at a perpendicular direction. So here we can observe that almost 90 degree, here the incoming rays is hitting on the surface at a perpendicular direction. But if you take the case of other regions, that is the latitudes beyond the equator up to the polar region, you can observe the variation in the incident rays. Here almost 180 degree. The incoming rays is not falling on the surface at a perpendicular direction. What we have observed, if the incident rays is falling on the surface beyond 90 degree, its intensity would get reduced. So from this observation, we can conclude that those regions in and around equatorial region could receive the maximum intensity of direct sun rays, and the regions beyond the earth, beyond the equatorial region, would experience the heat energy at a very lower level. So the temperature distribution from equatorial to polar regions is getting reduced, right? So maximum amount of temperature would be falling on the regions wherever the direct rays of sunlight is hitting on the surface, and those regions which are receiving the diffused light, even though the light is falling on the surface, it is not experiencing the same amount of heat energy which it receives from the incoming solar radiation, right? So here this example clearly indicates that even though the region which receives smaller amount of energy for a smaller area, the intensity of this energy is higher. Here, if you take the case of polar region, the distribution of this heat energy, even though it covers a larger area, but the intensity is comparatively very lower with respect to the equatorial region, which is receiving higher amount of heat energy. So what we can conclude that it is because of the spherical nature of our Earth's surface, which is receiving the incoming solar radiation, with respect to the incident angle on its surface, the temperature distribution varies with respect to equatorial region to polar region, right? So from this basic understanding, how come this direct rays is hitting the surface of the earth right from Tropic of Cancer to Tropic of Capricorn? It is not only the equatorial region which is receiving the direct rays of sunlight. Whatever the latitude which is receiving the direct rays of sunlight, direct rays means here those rays which is hitting at a 90 degree on its surface would experience the maximum heat and light over there, right? With this basic understanding, we can move on to our understanding about the tilting of Earth, right? Tilting of Earth. What we have known that if Earth is not tilted, right? Earth is rotating with respect to its imaginary rotating axis which passes through north pole, center and south pole of the earth. If earth is not tilted means if the rotating axis is of straight line, or if the rotating axis is of perpendicular to its rotating plane, then it is always the equatorial region which is receiving the direct rays of sunlight. It is the direct rays of sunlight which is hitting on the surface of the earth. But we know that earth is not really in this position. Earth's rotating axis is tilted by 23.5 degree. How much it is tilted? The rotating axis is tilted by 23.5 degree, so that it is not possible for equator alone to receive the direct rays of sunlight for the entire period of the year. How come it is determined? It is because of this tilting by 23.5 degree. Whenever the earth is tilted towards the sunlight, here if you take this case of sunlight, whenever the earth's rotating axis is tilted towards the incoming solar radiation, here the tilting is towards the earth, right? If earth is tilted by 23.5 degree now, but 23.5 degree is tilting towards the sun rays now, it is not the equator which is 0 degree latitude which is receiving the direct rays of sunlight. In which latitudinal locality the direct rays will hit? It is hitting on the Tropic of Cancer. Tropic of Cancer is 23.5 degree north latitude, right? So whenever the earth is tilting towards the sunlight, the Tropic of Cancer, apart from the equatorial region, is experiencing the maximum amount of heat or maximum amount of light, right? If on the another case, when the earth is tilted away from the incoming solar radiation, it is not again the equator which receives the direct rays of sunlight. This direct rays of sunlight which is hitting the surface at 90 degree falls on the Tropic of Cancer, which is positioned itself with respect to 23.5 degrees southern latitude. So in both the cases, with respect to its tilting position, the incoming solar radiation which is hitting on the surface is varied between Tropic of Cancer to Tropic of Capricorn. We know that earth is revolving around the sun and it takes around 365 days to complete one revolution. During its revolutionary position, the direct rays of sunlight is traveling between Tropic of Cancer to Tropic of Capricorn, and once yearly once it hits the direct rays, and the direct rays of sunlight is hitting on the 21st June of Tropic of Cancer, which we can call it as summer solstice. And whenever the direct rays of sunlight which is hitting on the Tropic of Capricorn during the December month of 22nd, we can call it as winter solstice. And two times it is hitting the direct rays of sunlight is directly falling on the equator for 2 times of a year. We can call it as equinox during the March and September. So we know that Earth, with respect to its tilting position, is receiving the direct rays of sunlight between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. If Earth is tilted by 30 degree, if we assume that Earth is tilted by 30 degree, then obviously we can consider 30 degree north as the Tropic of Cancer. If it is tilted by 25 degree, then we can consider 25 degree as a Tropic of Cancer. It is because of its tilting position, we need to assume the northernmost boundary where the direct rays can travel and the southernmost boundary where the direct rays of sunlight would travel. So with this basic understanding, the temperature distribution or the temperature distribution with respect to the direct rays of sunlight is varied between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn, right? So if we measure the average temperature of a year, if we the average temperature of a year, we know that within the Tropic of Cancer to Tropic of Capricorn, the direct rays of sunlight is traveling across the equatorial region within the Tropic of Cancer to Tropic of Capricorn for the entire period of the year. And you need to observe that the direct rays of sunlight never go beyond Tropic of Cancer on the northern hemisphere and never go beyond the Tropic of Capricorn in the southern hemisphere. So maximum temperature would be experienced within the boundaries of Tropic of Cancer to Tropic of Capricorn. This is the region which is experiencing maximum amount of temperature. Then the next region which is closer to these Tropic of Cancer would be the temperate regions. That is the region between Arctic Circle and Tropic of Capricorn. 66.5 degree north is called as Arctic Circle and 23.5 degree north is called as Tropic of Cancer. These region between Arctic Circle and Tropic of Cancer and the region between Antarctic Circle and Tropic of Capricorn would experience a lower temperature compared to the tropical region, but higher temperature when compared to the polar region. Beyond 66.5 degree, we have already discussed that it is the region which is receiving diffused heat energy from the sun. So it is not possible for those regions to experience higher amount of heat energy. So that if we take the temperature of the polar regions for both the case of Arctic pole and Antarctic pole regions, it is experiencing sub-zero level temperatures. So this is an annual mean temperature of different latitudinal regions across the surface of the earth. So we know that on the basis of the variation in the distribution of heat across the latitudes on the surface of the earth, we have arranged these, or we have differentiated these different regions into different heat zones. Those heat zones of the earth are varying with respect to its temperature. We know that the Tropic of Cancer, between the region of Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, this is the region which is experiencing the maximum amount of heat energy, because the direct rays of sunlight can travel between Tropic of Cancer to Tropic of Capricorn. This region is called as torrid zone. And the next region between the Tropic of Cancer to Arctic Circle and the Tropic of Capricorn to Antarctic Circle is experiencing a moderate temperature when compared to the tropical regions. This region is called as temperate zone, right? The region which is beyond the Arctic Circle and Antarctic Circle up to the polar region is not at all receiving any higher amount of energy during the entire period of the year. So this is the region where we can call it as sub-zero level or permafrost region. So this region is considered to be of frigid zone region. So torrid zone is the maximum heat experiencing region. Moderate amount of heat and temperature is experienced in the temperate zone on both the hemisphere, and the sub-zero level frigid conditions are experienced in the polar regions of both the hemispheres. On the basis of this distribution of incoming solar radiation across the different latitudes on the surface of the earth, we have differentiated 3 heat zones on the surface of the earth, right? Thank you, friends.